Story 1. Even if you treat someone really well and you both love each other, it doesn't always end like a Hollywood movie. Sometimes there are too many obstacles. Story 2. You can do everything right, give something 100% effort, follow all the rules and still fail. Story 3. Being the hardest worker does not always mean you will be the one rewarded or recognized for your accomplishments. Story 4. The world does not wait for you to be okay. You must learn to pick yourself up and get better. Story 5. Loving someone unconditionally and being willing to do anything for them does not mean that they will feel the same way about you. Story 6. Every organization, no matter how lauded, aspirational, or trusted, is still composed of fallible humans. Story 7. No matter how much you care for and value someone, they are not obligated to reciprocate, especially friends. Story 8. If somebody does not want to be helped, you cannot help them. This one hurt. A suicidal brother. Story 9. Your life is comically short, and it was not meant to feel long for your convenience. If you are 16 or older, you have probably started feeling the uncomfortable sense that a year is much shorter than you expected. Story 10. When it comes to grief, time does not heal all wounds. Grief may dull, but a single trigger can make it flood back. I learned this after my dad and grandmother died in 2015. I know it's sad, but I resented people telling me I would stop feeling it someday. We should be honest about this so people can learn to cope with grief and not wait for a day when it will vanish. Update. I woke up surprised and deeply moved by the number of comments, support, empathy, and understanding. I will do my best throughout the day to read every reply. Thank you for the awards, and thank you especially for sharing your experiences, thoughts, and meaningful quotes. Reddit is something special, and so are all of you. Story 11. Life is short. You grow up hearing this often, but until you reach a certain age, you do not have the perspective to fully grasp it. Story 12. Sometimes the nicest people just seem to be wronged by the universe through no fault of their own. I know being kind can lead to being taken advantage of by others, but I am referring more to random misfortune, such as someone being run over by a drunk driver, killed in a terrorist bombing or attack, or diagnosed with cancer or other serious illnesses. Story 13. Do not take anything for granted. Things change quickly, and life is short. I remember having so many friends not long ago who are now strangers. Story 14. Doing your best and giving it your all doesn't always mean things will turn out the way you want. Sometimes things just go wrong. Story 15. Just because people hang out with you does not mean they like you. I learned that when I used to hang out with a girl who one day told me it was annoying that I was always around her and the other girls and that I should probably go away because many of the other girls did not like me either. I had a hard time trusting people after that. I did not want to go to sleepovers or hang out after school with kids in high school even if they invited me, because I had a voice in the back of my mind telling me, do not hang out with them. They are only inviting you to be polite. Just decline. They will have more fun without you. Story 16. When someone dies, you will never see them again. The day my partner died, I fell into bed and cried my heart out, knowing I would never hear her voice again. It destroyed me. My bedroom was so quiet, dull, and hollow that I felt hopeless. That was 6 years ago, and I can still vividly remember my surroundings and feelings from that moment. Story 17. Life goes fast, especially after you turn 24. My stepdad told me I'd blink and be 40. I blinked, and being 40 is awful. Story 18. One day your parents, grandparents, and other people who have always been there for you will be gone for the rest of your life. Story 19. No matter what you have or what you do, you will be forgotten within a few generations. Story 20. It is surprising that even your best friend can turn into a stranger rather quickly. Edit. Thank you for the replies and awards. It is nice to see I am not the only one. I hope we all learn to move on and live with it. Story 21. Nothing lasts forever. Edit. I did not know this would get this many upvotes. Thank you. Story 22. You can speak as many languages as you want and hold multiple degrees and certificates, yet still be rejected for the simplest jobs. Story 23. I have a big nose. I did not realize until someone told me at 17. Story 24. It's never a stranger who betrays you. Edited to add, thank you for all the awards. Story 25. Stop worrying what others think. Most people are so caught up in themselves they barely know anyone else exists. Do not let your ego convince you that anyone cares about what you are doing. Of the few who do care, even fewer can help or harm you. Story 26. From birth to death, no one spends more time with me than I do, so the only approval I need is my own. Story 27. People judge us by our actions, not our intentions. This follows the saying that the path to hell is paved with good intentions. Story 28. I need to protect myself at all costs, not just physically but also emotionally and psychologically. Story 29. No matter how talented you are at something, there will always be someone much better than you. Story 30. Ultimately, you must stand alone. What your loved ones think about you does not matter. You are you, and that is enough. It is unfortunate to be caught up in seeking likes and reactions on social media. Story 31. Not everyone is your friend. People can turn on you in an instant and harm you, even those you think truly care about you. Story 32. Without help, trauma never goes away properly. I know this is frowned on, but thank you for the awards. They are much appreciated and make me smile. However, if you were considering a paid award, please donate that money to your local mental health services or your local animal shelter. It can do so much good. Thank you all for your wonderful responses. Story 33. Most people are just assholes and will treat you with no respect if they do not have to. I worked in retail long enough that I am no longer surprised by bad behavior. It was the nice people who caught me off guard. Story 34. It is often not what you know but who you know. Once I learned that, the workforce became a bleak shithole. Story 35. That is the lesson I learned after my ex-stepdad removed me from visitation. You cannot force anyone to love you. Along with my sisters, I visited his house even after my mother and he divorced because he was my father figure from age 3 to 12. After 9 years as my father figure, he cut ties quickly after marrying a second wife. Story 36. It does not matter how much you love someone. One day you will hurt them and they will hurt you. Story 37. My dad is a terrible person, and I am not immune to it. I have to let him go and reject my parent. He is an alcoholic with a disability, and I must abandon him because he is also an awful person. It is the right thing, but it feels very wrong. Story 38. My niece asked her mother why I had to move away for work. My sister-in-law told her it was because I had not accomplished anything in life and had no choice. She told me this casually, despite knowing I come from an abusive childhood and that I was not allowed to do certain things. She used me as an example to show my 9-year-old niece how important it is to work hard in school and pursue a career. Otherwise, she said my niece would end up like me. Story 39. We grow up thinking that the side of evil will be clearly defined, and the villains will be obvious, mustache-twirling Lex Luthors, while the good guys will be purely righteous heroes. Turns out that right and wrong are very challenging to define. Story 40. You are the most unusual person among others and will not know it until someone tells you. It will shatter you. Story 41. It fucking sucks to be the poorest person in the room, but the pity is worse. It's just motivation to work harder, I guess. Story 42. Bad things happen to good people. My husband and I lost our 11-year-old son to brain cancer. My daughter lost her twin brother, and my mother lost her grandson. None of us, especially him, deserved that. He was an amazing child, so kind and thoughtful. Meanwhile, there are cruel, bullying, and greedy people acting without regard for others. Somehow you dig deep, decide to be even better, and continue to serve others, but that does not mean you will not be treated unfairly again. Story 43. Life is not fair. People will do bad things to you, not only get away with it, but also convince others that you are the problem. You may ask where justice is. There is no justice. There are the powerful and the powerless. Justice is a concept created to keep you and me from revolting. Story 44. Anything can be taken away from you at any time. It can be your sense of security, your purpose in life, your job, your significant other, your dreams, your bodily functions, your hope for the future, or your idea of what life is or could be. Can all go away in an instant without any logical or ethical reason. We live in a stochastic universe. There may be patterns and there may be trends, but we will never truly know how things will turn out. It is the hardest thing to accept in life, but it is also the exact thing that makes life worth living. Story 45. Regret over an important decision will cling to you for the rest of your life. It will cause deep pain, and you will pray for a second chance you know will never come. You know regret because it hurts uniquely and deeply, and you feel like you are emotionally drowning every day. Story 46. 99% of the time, no one cares. That can be both comforting and harsh. People do not pay much attention to the things that make you anxious or self-conscious, and they are often not interested in what you like, what you believe, who you know, or where you have been. Many are simply waiting for their turn to talk about what they like or believe. It is normal, but it can hurt. Find one or more people who genuinely want to know about you and hold on to them forever. Story 47. Sometimes, despite widespread evidence, logical reasoning, and common sense, there will always be people who blame the victim and support abusers. Story 48. Just because she is your mother does not mean she will love you. Story 49. Doing the right thing does not pay off. There are too many people in the world willing to lie or cheat, competing with you and making it hard to win by being honest. I still go the honest route because I do not know how people like that live with themselves, but the statement seems truer every day as I get older. Story 50. Someone close to me took their own life. It's still hard for me to accept. Story 51. Chain pet stores do not actually care about animals. Story 52. People would rather suffer or inflict harm than risk learning something that might force them to change what they prefer to believe is true. Story 53. I spent years trying to be the perfect man for my crush, but being perfect for someone will not make them love you. Story 54. Since my breakup from a long-term relationship, I have realized that I am not as desirable as I thought I would be, and that the women I like seem to be out of my league. Story 55. The childhood I had is the only one I will get. It is a tragedy because that time was awful. How do you grow into an adult when you have that kind of abuse and neglect as your building blocks? Story 56. It does not matter how hard you try to be someone that some people will like. They may still not like you. I am now 20 years old. I have attended 5 schools and played 3 sports, yet I still do not have anyone who likes me enough to be my friend. That was a hard pill to swallow, but there is nothing I can change about it. Edit. Thank you all for the positive comments and advice. I really appreciate it and it made my day. I am definitely not going to give up on my true self. You all gave me a great confidence boost. Thanks. Story 57. When there are enough people in a group, everyone becomes a statistic to their leaders. Story 58. We are very much like arrows launched into the sky. Good parents build the best bow they can, hope their aim is true and their arm is strong, and know that if they shoot well, they will never be able to catch up to their children. The world will progress and the future will be brighter. Okay, parents, find whatever bow they can scrounge. Try not to waver too much as they fire, and hope they did not mess it up. They are not necessarily prepared or aware, and most are simply grateful the bow did not break. Neglectful parents never find a bow. They walk outside and push the arrow into the mud, either not caring what happens to it or determined that it will never know it was supposed to soar. Story 59. There is no magic secret to life that someone is going to tell you. Story 60. Most of your friends are only friends with you because it's convenient. Story 61. This is a long one. Few people will read it, and of those, few will care. Since I am anonymous and Reddit glory is pretty useless, I do not mind saying it. What I will say will sound bitter. It is, but it is also the truth. When I was young and knew nothing, I wanted to be a hero. I did not know exactly what that meant, but I believed a hero was just kind and willing to do bold things. If you try to adopt a heroic mindset, it may start with a conscious desire to do good. That can fade. As you foster it and make it part of your identity, it can become a compulsion. You will stop weighing reasons. You will sacrifice every comfort for others and never receive the same treatment. You may even be satisfied with that. Others will see your actions not as virtuous but as expectations. You will be fine with that too because you expect it of yourself. The more you look and the more you do, the more apathy and selfishness you will see. Very few people will be like you. They are elusive and do not connect with others easily. Being the change you want to see pits you against seemingly impossible odds. But compulsions do not weigh the odds. Compulsions act. It is a lonely existence and a very heavy burden. There is no heroic fanfare for the sacrifices you make. This is not a movie. There will be no sudden realization from others about how valuable you may be. You will be forgotten until there is a need. There is a lot of hate. I feel as though I have sacrificed a lot for people and was willing to sacrifice much more that, thankfully, I never had to. I believe you should do good things because they are good and for no other reason, but it hurts. It hurts a lot. I expected this to get 35 votes at most. Instead, it became my most popular comment of all time. Thanks for the kind words and the awards. There is some extrapolation to follow. Many people are arguing about what heroism is. That is good. When I was small, my hero was Hulk Hogan. He said his prayers and ate his vitamins, and that did not age well. The concept of heroism is a window into someone's heart, not an ironclad rule. That is why I did not mention specific deeds or rationales. Everyone's idea is different. Spreading those ideas is good. I value the concept of sacrifice above all others. Some may value other qualities, and that is fine. I expected some people to call this cringe. I thought about mentioning that preemptively because many people on Reddit enjoy berating honest people and kicking them when they are down, but I did not think it important. They can be safely ignored. Comparing people on an anonymous forum to people in real life who rant to anyone who will listen seems nonsensical to me. What I did not expect was the relation to the subreddit nice guys. I thought that had to do with people angry about being romantically rejected, and I do not have those problems. If anything, I am extremely picky in that regard. Believing you should do good for goodness sake does not mean it will always leave you with a warm and fuzzy feeling. Sometimes you do good for people you absolutely loathe simply because it is right. Deserving is not a concept I care to acknowledge. I find it despicable when someone denies the pain of others and calls them entitled for feeling wounded, yet those people do what is right anyway. Ignore those critics. You only need to look at their own posts to see their contradictions. Consider people who work in the medical field. Many people idolize them, and rightly so. It is a field that requires calm in unimaginable scenarios, that goes against basic instincts and sometimes causes harm toward a greater end, such as resolving a medical issue. That requires an ironclad will and deserves recognition. To others in that field, it can become the norm, just their job. I do not scorn people who feel they are not getting the recognition they deserve. Some might call that mentality toxic, but I say it only becomes toxic when people withdraw their good deeds because of it. Lastly, and I apologize for the length, I did not want to put myself on a glorified pedestal. I am not proclaiming myself a hero, nor listing my deeds. I take concepts that I would find heroic and apply them. You do not have to agree, and I am aware of my faults. I am opinionated, disagreeable, and I enjoy solitude to a certain extent. I am expressing myself, not seeking praise. What is worth mentioning is that for every famous person who spends a little time doing something undeniably good or donating a small amount compared to their wealth while receiving massive notoriety, there are thousands who put everything they have into others and remain unsung. I believe it is worth pondering. Story 62. No matter how well you think you are doing, someone will always be better, stronger, or wealthier. We must stop comparing ourselves to others, accept what we have, and do the best we can. Story 63. You can triple-check everything and work your tail off, yet still make a simple mistake that costs you. Story 64. Sometimes the right person at the wrong time is still the wrong person. I wish I had taken this advice before continuing to date the right person for 2 more years. We broke up because the timing was off and there were many other factors, and I should have listened instead of trying to force a failing relationship to work. Story 65. Sometimes friendships simply end. This is not because of hatred or anything anyone did, but because time and life cause people to drift apart. Story 66. Any job, company, or organization that tells you we are a family is lying. Story 67. Pedophilia and human trafficking are much closer to you than you realize. Story 68. I got out of the army and thought the world would give me everything because everyone says they support the troops. Turns out no one actually cares and only says they support the troops until it becomes inconvenient. I have been turned down for many jobs because of my military service. Story 69. I traveled to Asia as a Western person and was repeatedly told I was fat. Not in an insulting way, but in a very matter-of-fact way. I was called big and very fat. I was in denial about my weight and remained in denial when I got home. I started my weight loss journey during lockdown this year, and I am finally down 18 pounds. I have a long way to go, but I never want to feel as mortified, disgusted, and ashamed as I did when people made those comments as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. Story 70. Never make someone a priority for whom you're only an option. No matter how much you love and care for someone, they will always put themselves first. Story 71. No one owes you anything. Many people wait for someone else to save them because they believe they deserve it, but reality does not care. Recognizing this frees you. Story 72. Introspection and the ability to correct one's mistakes are not very common. Story 73. Sometimes you can do everything right and it will all fall apart anyway. Your health, body, or mind can fail you. If you are unlucky enough, they can all fail. Story 74. The only person you can depend on is yourself. Friends, lovers, and others come and go. Even family may leave you at some point. Treat yourself with respect. Story 75. People only care about themselves and what's best for them. Story 76. Your mental illness, physical disability, or trauma story does not have to be an inspirational recovery story. Sometimes just surviving 24 hours is enough. There is no appropriate amount of time to grieve a loss. You are not required to recover from anything on someone else's time frame. If you are trying but people around you seem to think you are milking it for attention, forget them. Anyone who accuses someone of being attention-seeking is demanding that you fit their preferences. They are making it about themselves. They can go away. It is okay to not be okay. It is your responsibility to try to improve your mental and physical state in your own time frame. Some people never fully recover, and that is okay. Do not let others guilt you into putting on a fake face so they do not have to be uncomfortable. You are doing your best, and that is enough. Story 77. Sometimes there is someone better than you at the task of the day, and they are coming for your spot. It sucks when they get there. Story 78. You could be a hard worker, follow all the rules, and go above and beyond, but the lazy person who flatters others will still get the promotion over you. Story 79. Life speeds up. You will be a teenager for decades. Then you spend a year in your 20s, half an hour in your 30s, and suddenly you are 40, explaining how you still get it and that you are not old. But please help. How do I make Snapchat filters work? I just want to look like a dog. Story 80. If you are a man whose skin condition makes you resemble a Dalmatian, you will be judged by your appearance, regardless of who you are. Story 81. No matter how independent, strong-willed, and self-aware you are, you can still be sexually assaulted. Story 82. Fruit juice is actually bad for you. I used to drink orange juice almost every day because I thought it was healthy. Story 83. It is so fucking hard being poor. Putting your best foot forward, showing up early, offering to stay late, being reliable, and working hard is not enough to move up the customer service hierarchy and earn more than minimum wage. If you want government assistance, you cannot work full-time at minimum wage or you will lose that assistance. If you lose it, you must work even more to make up the lost income. If you are not a parent, not disabled, not a veteran, and not pregnant, you can usually only qualify for food assistance, even when 70% of your income goes to a slimy landlord and almost all of the rest goes to everything else you need. It's goddamn tough. The hardest truth is that if you are poor, you remain poor. No amount of work will change that. Story 84. No matter how hard I try, she will never love me back. Story 85. Nothing you do will ever be enough. The world will keep spinning. The hungry will remain hungry, and the wicked will remain wicked. No important problem is ever fully solved. Scarcity and entropy are constant in every dimension, from relationships to finance. You never stop struggling against them. You only shift which forms you must confront most immediately. You were born on this ride, and there is only one way off. Story 86. Life is extremely fragile. Don't let it scare you into being a hermit, but have the utmost respect and gratitude that you are still alive. Story 87. The truth does not matter, perception does. Sometimes you have to fail 1,000 times just to win once. Thanks to Thomas Edison. You are not a loser if you do not win. You are a loser if you do not try. You are the only one who truly knows how good or bad a person you are. If you want to be truly judged, admit what you do when no one is watching. Simply contemplating this will tell you a lot about yourself. Finally, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. Mike Tyson. Story 88. Human resources is there to protect the company, not to hold your hand. Story 89. As a teen, I realized that nobody cares. If you get into trouble, people do not come out of the woodwork to support or save you. No coach is going to give you a big speech and then you will win at what you want to do in life. If you are hurt, a stranger might help you find medical aid, but do not expect anyone to stay for the recovery process. As an adult, I realized the same thing. If you mess up, look like an idiot, or generally do poorly, the atmosphere of constant critique that existed in high school is not present in real life. You do not need to obsess over every little thing, and you do not need to explain yourself to others. Nobody cares. This is neither good nor bad. It is simply a fact. Story 90. You can have friends with wonderful lives and families while everything in your life feels awful, and there is nothing you can do about it. Your wealthy friend has a close family. Their biggest concern is their children getting into their dream career, and if that does not work out, their second choice. Their family has great holidays and no drama. Meanwhile, you worry that the next call from your divorced parents, who rarely call, will be to tell you a sibling has died. I've had a pretty good life, but sometimes it hurts to have a friend who has it all while your family is falling apart. I have very good friends I can lean on, which is nice, but goddamn, why is my family the one that is struggling? Story 91. You cannot fully trust anyone. Infatuation is not love. Story 92. The government is not our friend. Virtually any government. Story 93. I have looked like an abusive husband since my teens. A girl I befriended told me the girls in my class mostly steer clear of me because I look like a wife beater. That was in 9th grade. It has not improved with age. Story 94. Either you kill your problems and addictions or they kill you. Story 95. That family usually does not act in your best interest. Story 96. Sometimes things just do not get better. You push it to the back of your mind until you die. You will always wonder what if. The death of loved ones. Life moves fast and 80 years is not long. More people have been assaulted than you will ever know. People do not care about good conversation, only superficial things. At the end of the day, most of us have no family or friends who truly care about us. Last but not least, if you have lived a hard life, becoming cynical is almost unavoidable. Story 97. If you are unattractive, people may give you less attention than they give attractive people. Story 98. I think Picard said it best. It is possible to do everything right and still lose. That is not failure. That is life. Story 99. There will never be a perfect time or perfect circumstances to do what you want. Do it now and adjust as you go. Story 100. This was a terrible truth I had to come to terms with. No matter how much you try and hope, you may have to face that you will never be truly loved by anyone in your life. I had a very hard time in my 20s and 30s hoping to meet someone who would love me. I was attractive, had a good job, and was interesting. It never happened. I had to accept that no one probably ever would love me. Now that I am in my 50s, I have come to terms with it and focus on making myself happy. There are no guarantees of love in life. You do not always get what you want or deserve. These have been the hardest lessons of my life. Story 101. Being a good person will get you screwed almost every time. I have learned this many times, yet I still try to be good to people. Good people are often taken advantage of, while dishonest, selfish people tend to get ahead and are treated better. I am not saying you should stop being a good person. You should not let anything change that. But if you are kind, honest, and loyal, be prepared to be taken advantage of more often than not. Story 102. Life is not always fair. If you want things fixed or improved, you must do something about them instead of waiting for someone else. Story 103. As you get older, holidays lose their magic and become ordinary days when you have to spend money and begin to dread them. Story 104. If your parents raised you to be an unbearable person, it is not your fault that you are awful, but it is your responsibility to fix it. Unfortunately, it takes years of trial and error to determine which beliefs and behaviors you were taught are wrong and which are not. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.